Hello, welcome back to Hot Girls Can't Drive. I'm your host, Bree, and I'm back filming another episode. I feel like we just never know when I'll be back. I will kind of go on a stint where I'm like, I want to record an episode, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna post like every single week, and then I don't post for a few months. When I first made this podcast, it was kind of just like an inside joke between me and my friends, especially my friends back home in Maryland. So I would record just like whatever was on my mind that week, and then I would send it to them, or I would post it online, and then my friends back home could like listen to it and keep up with whatever was going on back in Miami. And then real life people that I didn't know started listening to it, and it got a little scary. So I stopped posting, and it kind of became a joke with not only my friends but also people that I've barely met or only met once in passing. I would be out in public, and people would come up to me and make a joke about my podcast, and I started getting sus because I was like, how did you hear about this? And also, are you joking with me in a funny way, or are you making fun of me? That was always my fear. So that's why I kind of stopped posting. Um but I will upload an episode, and then I'll get so embarrassed of it, and then I'm like, that's the most recent episode. So when people find my podcast, they'll listen to my most recent episode, and I get so embarrassed. I'm like, I can't believe I actually said that and posted it on the internet. And now it's gonna follow me around forever because of digital footprint. But here we are. I literally remember I had to do recruitment for my sorority back in January, and it somehow came up in conversation with this one girl that I had a podcast, and I told her the name. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, by the way. I don't really understand the rules of recruitment. I never did formal recruitment, and I didn't really listen very well when they when we did our training or whatever. So anyways, I don't know if I was supposed to tell her that, but I did. And then other PNMs found out about my podcast, and so it kind of became a thing that there was three or four girls I sat down with, and they would tell me that they listened to my podcast, and I would think that about the most recent episode that I posted, and I'd be like, oh my God, that is so embarrassing. I cannot believe that these random people are listening to my podcast, and I literally just sit here and yap, and I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. But here we are. So I kind of just decided I wanted to record this episode because I'm back home in Maryland now. It's spring break. I was in Hawaii for with Club Swim for the first half of spring break. And then I really randomly, literally a week ago, decided to come back home to Maryland for the second half of spring break, which I don't really know why. I fully was not planning on coming home. I was just gonna fly from Hawaii back to Miami and just stay in Miami, which makes the most sense. And then I just decided one day, I was like, I miss my dog. So I got a flight and came home. But I don't know. I feel so detached from Maryland now because I've been in Miami for 3 years, and that's just where all my friends are. And I recently had a little bit of a friend breakup with some of my friends back home in Maryland just because I felt like they weren't really serving me anymore and the way that I needed friends. They were really fun to hang out with and do fun things with, but when when things got deep and I need support, they just weren't supporting me. And ever since then, I've kind of just I'm like, there's nothing here for me anymore. Which is sad because I grew up here. I've lived in this house since I was 4 years old. I've never we've only moved once, and it was from a house 20 minutes down the road to here. So this is my childhood home. Um and so it's sad to think I just have really outgrown this place, but I have. And when I had a lot of friends here from high school, it was a lot easier for me to come home because I was like, oh, I have 8 kids I still talk to from high school, and I want to go see them and I want to hang out with them. But since I've distanced myself from a lot of them, it's just I'm home right now. I'm just sitting around. I don't even have a car because my car's in Miami, and my mom's at work. And my three friends that I still talk to in Maryland are in school or they're working. So it's just yay, I get to see my dog. Love Missy. She's a queen. But it's also just kind of sad to come home now just because a lot of things went down in this house. And my mom is trying to move soon, and she's still going to stay in Maryland because she likes her job. So I'm still going to be in the area, but specifically this community, this 10-mile radius has been my town for literally as long as I can remember. And it's like I used to feel so nostalgic whenever I come home, and now it's just kind of depressing. And it's probably because I come home when like everything's dead and it's gloomy and it's cold outside and I'm coming from Miami. But my gosh, is it like, do I really feel like I've outgrown this place? And people ask me all the time, like, if I ever think I'd move back. And like, the area that I grew up in is so nice. You know, I lived, right outside of DC. I lived in a really nice suburbs. And like, I grew up in like a really nice place, but there's just way too many memories, good and bad, for me to ever move back. And I kind of sometimes feel like I'm a little bit of a nomad, I guess you could say, in a sense, just because like Maryland, like this specific town doesn't serve me anymore, but also like I've never really fit in Miami either. Like I'm not a super big like party girl. Like that lifestyle just is not for me. Like I came to Miami and I moved to Miami because I wanted to be near the beach, literally, and because I couldn't do seasonal depression anymore and I needed to be in the sun 365 days out of the year. And so I was like, where's the sunniest place? And it was like Miami. And I love the city at like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Like I love going to brunch with my friends and I like walking around like Brickell. And I like to, do your cutie little, your Pilates, like Miami activities. And like that side of Miami I really like, but the club space, I don't, the 11, like live, the party lifestyle that we need to go out every single night of the week lifestyle. Like it's never ever been for me. Like, I'm sorry, I'd so much rather be in bed watching Netflix than I would going out. And it's fun to like get dressed up sometimes and go to a bar. Like, I'm a bar girly. Like, obviously I needed to go to a school that had a bigger bar scene than a club scene because I just don't like clubs. But like I like to go out to a bar every once in a while and get drinks with friends and like hang out and see other kids I know. Like that's fun for me. Going to 11 and seeing people with literally the tiniest mini skirts I've ever seen ever. Like, babe, that's not a skirt, that's a fucking rubber band. And it being so loud you can barely have a conversation, and being awake until like 3-4:30 in the morning, like that just is not my vibe. I don't know how some of you queens do it. So I'm really like trying to figure out like, where is Brie Fish meant to be? Because it's definitely not Maryland. I feel like I've outgrown this place, but it's definitely not Miami. Like Miami is so fun to go to college there. I would never move here after college. Like I would never move to Miami after college. Like it just is not my vibe. And I like a lot of people in Miami. There's a lot of people I do not get along with in Miami too, though. And it's just because we're from different lifestyles and we grew up differently, and I just cannot relate to them at all. And I stare at them and I'm like, we have nothing in common. And so I don't know where my people are and I don't know where my vibe is, but it's not either of these places right now. So if anyone has any suggestions, I'm 100% open to it. And if I had any advice for anyone applying to schools, you can come to Miami, like pull up Queen, but also like understand that like if you're not into the party, if you're not into the club scene, it's going to be very hard to feel like you fit in here. And I've found like my little niche groups of people that I really like and I really get along with. And sometimes they make me feel like a grandma though, because they want to go out on, a Thursday night. And I'm like, girl, I got to wake up at 5 in the morning because I have other responsibilities on a Friday morning and I simply just can't do it. And that's been hard. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. I'm just saying. Okay, sorry guys. It's now literally hours later from whatever uh the past 10 minutes you heard me yapping was about. As soon as I was started filming, my mom got home and then I ended up going out to eat with my dad. So it's now literally 1 a.m. and I think I just filmed the last part of this at like 5 p.m. So it's been a little bit. I don't even remember what I was yapping about when we got interrupted. I think I was literally just complaining, which is like all I fear I do on this podcast. But I think I was just complaining about being home and like the difference between being home and being in Miami. I don't even know. I feel like sometimes I just go on tangents. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So we're just gonna like awkwardly switch gears because it's like, girl, like I don't even know what I was just saying because it was hours ago. First and foremost, I want to start off this rant because I've got something to say to you bitches that are always promoting peace and mindfulness and protecting your peace and being at peace, because I am starting to learn that it's not as easy as some people try and make being mindful and mental health and wellness like as easy as some people think it is. When this whole idea first came up about like the saying protecting your peace, like you just need to protect your peace, it kind of seemed like it was a really easy thing to do. Like when I was first thinking about the idea of protecting your peace, I was thinking about, for example, you want to go out one night with your friends, but you know your ex is going to be there and you don't want to see him, so you choose to protect your peace and stay home instead because you know in the long run you'll be happier. And that's just like a random example I just pulled out of nowhere, but of like that was kind of the idea I had in my head of this concept of what it meant to protect your peace. And so I kind of set out on a goal really this school year. I was gonna say this year as in 2025, but really this school year to like find ways to quote unquote protect my peace. Just because like specifically last semester I I was going through a lot. I was taking 18 credits. I was waking up at like 5 in the morning every single day, if not earlier. I had a job I worked every single day, and it just was way too much to the point where I was unhealthy. And so after last semester ended, I kind of promised myself that this semester was going to be like my semester, like take it easy, lock in when I needed to, but also to like really learn what it meant to like be well, I guess, and protect my peace. And I thought that that would be such an easy thing to do, but I'm realizing short term, yes. Like something short term, like not going to the bar and seeing your ex boyfriend. Like short term peace is really easy to obtain. But the fucked up thing that I've learned is long term peace is really hard in the beginning and is not peaceful when you first try and do it, but it eventually becomes peaceful. But protecting your peace long term, which no one told me about, is not easy at all. For example, and I kind of spoke about this earlier, but I recently have stepped away from some of my old friends that just were not adding any positive impact into my life in the way that I needed it at the time. Like last semester when I was really going through it, I needed friends who are going to be there to support me, not just friends who wanted to go out all the time and have a good time, which was fun, but weren't there when I actually needed them. And so I kind of decided literally on New Year's that I was going to distance myself from people that weren't adding anything into my life basically. And I was like, here we go. Like first things first, this January 1st, 2025, I'm going to protect my peace. And so I cut off some of my old friends. That was hard. And I was really emotional about it. And I was really upset for a really long time, especially when I cut them off and no one reached out. No one asked if I was okay. No one even like pretended to even care about the fact that I wasn't talking to them anymore. And I was really emotional about it. And I was not at peace. And I just think it's so funny that everyone is always about, sometimes you need to like take some time off and prioritize yourself and I'm going to say this 20,000 times, but protect your peace and be mentally well. And it's like it is not that easy, babe. Like who's ever lying to you, yeah, maybe not going to the bar to see your ex-boyfriend one night is quote unquote protecting your peace, but if you want a long-term peace, that shit is hard in the beginning. It's kind of like there was this thing that was like viral a few years ago, and it was like this stone that people would get and you could wear it as a ring, and it started with an H. It was like a black stone. And you know how different healing stones have like different powers. Well, this black stone, basically you would wear this ring on your finger, and at first it would like make your life shit. Like all this bad stuff would happen to you. Supposedly, this is this thing, if you wear this ring, all of a sudden all this bad things happens to you, but it's because this ring is cleansing all of the negative things in your life. and then you have to like suck it up and get through the bad parts of your life to then be cleansed and see the good that's left over. And then once the ring would break off your finger, it's because it did its job and it's cleansed the negative things from your life, but it's really shitty in the beginning, is what people say. And long-term peace is a lot like that ring, because it hurts at the beginning when you realize that there's people that you were really close to that you have to step away from, or you have to take a break from, or when you realize that you're in specific communities that are no longer serving you anymore and you have to step away and you lose that immediate support. That's hard, and that's not peaceful at all. These people that were friends I was friends with for so long and I used to be like this with, once I realized that they weren't there for me when I needed them to and I stepped away, then I just completely lost all support from them. Especially now that I'm home and I'm not talking to these people that were my home friends anymore. Like, this is hard. And it makes me so mad when people seem to act like it is so easy to just be a health and wellness girly, to be peaceful, to be happy all the time. And it's like, it is not that easy, especially if you're really committed to having this long-term peace that everyone seems to always be shoving down my throat all the time. Like, yeah, if you want to be committed to that, you got to prepare to make change your entire perspective on life, uproot everything you used to know to then make space for people and things that are actually going to add value into your life. And that is hard. And so, honestly, if you're going through this quote unquote peace journey like I am, and you're not going through hard shit, I feel like you're doing it wrong. And that might be tea, and that might be controversial for me to say, but I feel like if you're not actually cleansing, quote unquote, cleansing yourself of negative energy, and you're not actually getting rid of things that's hard to get rid of, but that's necessary, that needs to be done, then you're not doing it right. And it's just crazy to me that everyone seems to think the only way to protect your peace is to see immediate change from it, like waking up the next morning and being proud of yourself for not going to the bar and seeing your ex-boyfriend. But long-term peace comes in waves. And my gosh, is that hard. And maybe everyone already knew that and I didn't. But it's like, I'm 21. Like, I'm just used to holding on to people for as long as possible. Like, that's something I've really learned recently. I spoke to a woman recently about like some shit I was going through with like boys and friends. And they were like, Brie, you love to hold on to people. And I was like, that's 100% true. I have such a hard time letting people go, whether it's like relationships or whether it's like friendships. I'm kind of just one of those people, like, once I commit to you, it's like that's it. And it's really hard for me to grasp the idea that some people are not meant to be in your life forever. Some people are meant to be in your life for a short period of time because they teach you something about yourself, or about like what you actually value. And then you guys grow out of love or you grow out of friendship, and it's time to move on. And I have a really hard time understanding that, because I guess I grew up with this idea that, when I was little, like, I wanted to have friends that I could be besties with forever. And I wanted to find someone that, like, I could be with forever, and, like, how Disney princesses are. And it's really hard for me to, like, grasp the concept of, like, it's okay to not be friends with the same people you were friends with when you were 12 years old. Just like it's okay to not like the same things you liked when you were 12 years old. It's okay to not date the same person you dated in high school, because you grow up and you change, and change is healthy and change is good. And we should all want to change and not be the same people we were when we were in middle school or high school. But then why is it so hard for me to let these people go? And it's just like, I care. I care a lot about lots of different things. I'm a people pleaser. I care about everybody. Like, I'm an empath. That's just like who I am. And it makes it so hard to like move on from things and realize that like things are no longer serving me anymore, and that's okay. And also, like, I've learned like that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Someone no longer serving you in the way that they used to doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means that they don't fit in your life anymore, because you've changed and you've matured, you've grown, and you guys can grow apart, and that's okay. And I'm also struggling with that idea of it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, just because I don't talk to these friends that I used to talk to anymore doesn't mean I have any hate for them. Like, I still have love for them and I still will always, like, you know, care for them, but also it's just like there was became a point where they were adding more negative than they were positive to my life, and I just felt like I was being held back. And it's lonely right now. Gonna be so honest, like it's not easy for me to like be okay with what I've done, my actions, because it's not very peaceful right now. But like I'm trying to like be better at like looking ahead and understanding that like long term this will be healthier for my mental. But girl, right now I'm sitting at home. It's like 1:30 on a Friday. Well, I guess it's like you know what I mean? It's like I'm sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And it's like I miss my Maryland friends, but I know long term it'll be better that I'm no longer like as close as I used to be. But it's hard. And we're going through it and we're going to be okay. But just know if you are promising to protect your peace in 2025, that shit is not easy if you do it right. And that's something I've learned. So, anyways, that was kind of like my big rant for the day and just something that's kind of been on my mind lately. And that's kind of all I have to say today. That was like the big rant that I knew my friends wouldn't listen to me for like 20 minutes talking about. So I figured I would record a podcast episode because this is my way to debrief. Um I think the biggest takeaway right now that I'm kind of just really holding on to and just hoping it works is kind of the understanding that it's going to be okay. I feel like anytime I've gone through things, specifically since I've been in college, things that I thought were like end of world events that I simply would never recover from, every single time, some way, somehow, I've gotten back on my feet and I've pulled myself together and I put my big girl pants on and like it's been okay. And maybe it's just because I'm dramatic, but sometimes I feel like I go through things and it's just like, Briefus, there's no coming back from this. And then I always just seem to figure it out. And so I'm kind of just riding on this mentality right now of like, no matter what happens, like, it's going to be okay. And I usually hate the people who like live by philosophies of like, everything happens for a reason. There's a bigger plan for you. It's always going to work out because I just really don't think that's true. I don't think that everything happens for a reason. I don't think that you ate an apple and that happened because of a specific reason, or you fell and hit your face. Well, that happened for a reason. Like, no, it didn't. You're just a clumsy bitch who likes to eat apples. So I hate this idea that everyone seems to always think that there's, maybe this is getting too religious, but that there's some higher power somewhere that's planning out every single thing you do and every single hardship you ever go through happens for a reason. Like sometimes I just think things happen and that's it, the end. But I get it. Like I get the bitches who think that way and that mindset because it really helps you get through it. Like if you're going through a hard thing, it's really nice to think, well, it's okay because there's gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel and everything happens for a reason. Like that's really reassuring. So I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try out this mentality that it's all going to work out and everything happens for a reason and it's all going to be okay because maybe I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. Maybe it really all is going to be okay and everything's going to work out in my favor and there's a reason and there's a purpose and that would be great. And so, I don't really got anything else going on right now. So we're just going to commit to this mindset for a little bit. It's been working so far and we're just going to continue and I'll let you know where it goes. Um, so that's all I have to say today. I'm gonna shut the fuck up now because I feel like I'm being annoying, but yeah, you're gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I don't know why, but we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna be so peaceful and we're gonna be wellness girlies that goes to Pilates every single Sunday morning and then we're gonna go brunch with our friends because that's the dream that we want and that's what all our Pinterest boards look like and it's gonna be okay. And I love you. Bye.